Hello fellow collectors and welcome to Long's Toys. Today we are taking a look at 3 vinyl figures from the Bugnarok series from Ohsama Sentai King-Ohger. We have Deathnarok, we have Kamejim, and Sanagim. Hopefully I'm pronouncing those correctly. Apologies if I am not. So these came out about a year ago, back when Kingohger first started, and I just kind of found them recently. They had fallen to the bottom of a box. I completely forgot that I had them, but I thought it would be fun to take a look now that the show's over and kind of knowing what happens to these characters and where they wind up. So if you haven't finished Kingohger yet, spoilers, I will be talking about the end of the show. So just putting that out there as fair warning, spoiler alert. But yeah, so we have Deathnarok here. I mean, he was the main antagonist, and then he really only made it to about the halfway point of the show, or before he was killed. And then he has kind of a cool redemption a little bit at the end, coming back and kind of helping the Kingohgers, kind of fight that final fight, I guess, Dagdead. And that's kind of interesting. I think that's kind of fun. Definitely not something that when you first meet the character you're expecting. And then you have Kamejim here, who just kind of seemed like his little lackey, or like not henchman. He was a little bit higher, but kind of like a second in command, but kind of scheming, almost like a Starscream Megatron relationship. And then we come to find out that he is one of Dagdead's main lieutenants, which was kind of interesting. He was kind of a plant the whole time, so that's kind of interesting. And then you have the Sanagim, again, hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly, which started out as just kind of like the basic Bugnarok foot soldiers for the Kingohgers to fight. And, then they some of them kind of defect and become citizens with Jeremy, and that's kind of fun. So, definitely all 3 of these characters definitely did not end up where we first were presented their starting point in the series. So I just thought, you know what, it's fun. Let's go ahead and take a look at these. So, honestly, unfortunately, most of these vinyl figures are not the best. Deathnarok here, there's a lot of nice molding on the figure. The cape and everything is kind of molded in, which they do a lot of times for vinyl figures. But he has almost no articulation. I mean, the little arms here at about the kind of forearm point can kind of swivel, but they don't do much. They just kind of swivel, and that's about it. He has really no other articulation to speak of. He doesn't even really have that much in terms of paint applications. I mean, the head is painted very nicely in kind of this collar area, but that's it. I mean, there's a lot of nice molded detail here, so if you're someone who likes to custom paint these, all of the molded detail is there. But they really gave him, no paint applications whatsoever. Honestly, most of these don't have a lot in terms of paint. So now we're moving on to Kamejim. I kind of really wish that his staff was molded in his hand. I don't expect any articulation or anything, and just when you move the arm, the staff would just kind of be at the side horizontally. I would have been fine with that, but I feel like he needs the staff. He's severely lacking paint as well, and the arms are his only 2 articulation points. You have this little bit of paint here on the front of the robes. Again, they did pay attention to the head. That's easily the best painted part. Some nice metallic blue paint there and a little bit of white paint down here. But again, I feel like he really needs the staff. I feel like that's a big part of his overall design. And again, it feels like maybe he'd have an articulation point here at the waist, but he does not. Easily my favorite of the 3 here is the Sanagim. I just think the color scheme is great. He's got, decent paint here. Again, the head seems to have gotten most of the paint treatment there. But that metallic blue is great. The black for the visor, a little bit of black here on the chest. Again, they all have nice molded in detail. They just got no paint whatsoever. I assume that was just to keep costs down on these. But I just really like the design of these guys. I was really hoping we were going... Oh, actually, he does have a midsection. So there you go. He's by far got the most articulation out of the bunch with the rotating arms and the midsection twist there. But I just always liked the design of these guys. I was really hoping they were going to include them in the second wave of the Udo figures, because every once in a while, a few times anyway, they've given us some grunt foot soldier, bad guys in the Udo series, and I was really hoping we were going to get a couple of these in that second Udo set, but it just didn't happen, which is kind of a bummer. So we have the vinyls here. Again, very lacking in paint, very lacking in articulation. Size-wise, they kind of work decently. Now, these are the action figures. I think they were called Action Heroes. These are not the Yudo. I've still not gotten around to building those, unfortunately. I feel like these scale decently. You know, you could kind of have them fighting the foot soldiers if you wanted to get a couple of these to army build. They shouldn't probably be this tall, but it's not bad. It's honestly not terrible scale-wise. I feel like for these two, it makes a little bit more sense because these guys are kind of larger villains, especially Deathnarok. It would make sense that he would be a little bigger than the Kingohgers. So I feel like this scaling is not too bad. I mean, honestly, for all of them, it's not too bad. But again, even if they could have just molded the weapons into their hands just so that they were there, I think that would have been nice. We don't usually get like action figures of the villains, so that's why I originally picked these up, because I wanted some representation of the villains. I probably should have got a couple of these. I don't know if they're still around or not, but yeah, they're cool. I always liked the design of these. I really wish they had done them in the Yudo. Real quick, here are the little cardboard tags that they come with, just in case you're curious. These really only exist so that there's a UPC they can scan at the store when you go to buy these. But there they are, so if you're curious what those look like. But yeah, they're decent little figures. I just wish they had more, I don't know, would I rather have, I think I'd rather more paint than articulation. I don't need a ton of articulation. Obviously, I would rather they made like full action figures for them, but for vinyl figures, I feel like you expect this level of articulation. But some more paint, or even just some molded in weapons, would have been nice. I think I would, if I had to put them in order of my priority, I think molded in weapons for these two would be my #1 ask. Then probably more paint, especially for Deathnarok. I don't need him to have a weapon, but I wish he had a little bit more paint. And then articulation would be my 3rd ask, but that's kind of my tiered priority. But like I said, if you're just building a display, I feel like they're decently in scale with the action hero figures. Might even be in better scale with the Yudo, because the Yudo might be a fraction taller than the action hero, so that might work even better. I have to get around to building them someday, but yeah, I just wanted to take a quick look at them. You know, there's not much to review on them, honestly. They don't do a ton, but I had completely forgotten that I had gotten them, and I thought, you know what, let's take a look. The show's over now. I can kind of go back and appreciate these, and maybe make a little display with these figures, because it's honestly not too bad. Scales fairly decently. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Please like, share, and subscribe. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and as always, thanks so much for watching.